Welcome back to the Tactics Ogre No Moving Challenge. It's finally time for us to save Falkut's friend. The wizard at the top of the map is Bayin. He's another member of the Liberation Front. This mission proved to be one of the hardest ones in this challenge. If you let Bayin die, it's honestly not that hard, but keeping Bayin alive is pretty difficult. Because he's a wizard, he's got lower defenses than most of our units, so the AI will prioritize attacking him over our own units. Other NPCs we've had to save have been in classes that deal physical damage. They tend to have slightly better defenses. Here we're not so lucky. As well as this, Bayin is completely surrendered. It took me quite a few tries to figure out a strategy that worked in saving him. On my first couple of attempts, I tried to push a unit over towards the right side of the map and then have them heal Bayin. Unfortunately, this did not work at all. We were able to heal Bayin, but he would just run straight into the enemy and get killed. It became apparent to me that Bayin is a senile old man and he's forgotten to take his sleeping medication, because why else would he decide to run into the enemy head first and get himself killed? The strategy that I end up using involves applying some sleep medication to this poor old man. We've positioned our units in such a way that they can make a chain of units pushing each other with shields. Our wizard is able to get into range and cast the sleep spell on Bayin. With Bayin asleep, he's not going to run headfirst into the enemy and get himself killed. We have Falkut as a guest in this fight. He's a knight, so we don't really have to worry about him getting himself killed. He has pretty good defenses. At the start of the fight, we also used a boon of swiftness on him. He's going to be a fairly good damage dealer in this fight as well. He already has access to a finishing move. As well as putting Bayin to sleep, we also hit him with a slow. The combination of him being asleep and slow will mean he's never going to wake up anytime soon. The enemy does have an angry chicken here. Cockatrice are one of the most dangerous beasts in this game. They have the ability to petrify many of your units in one attack. If they charge enough MP to use their Petro breath attacks, but you're not able to kill them before they can use it, it's a good idea to charm them. When they get access to their second tier of their breath attack, they can petrify 5 units at once. Because our units are so clumped up together, this is devastating. If we're able to charm a cockatrice, we can get them to not only deal no damage to our own units, but possibly petrify multiple enemy units as well, which can really turn the tide of battle. We've already put Bane to sleep, but we hit him with another sleep spell. This extends the duration of the sleep. We did change Voltaire into a rune fencer for this fight. He can also heal Bane if he does get injured as well. There's a few units in the enemy's forces that can deal quite a lot of damage. The most dangerous, of course, is the leader, Darza. He's the Berserker. He'll deal a lot of damage if he hits you with a powered up attack. He's got Sanguine Assault and Berserk. He also has access to a finisher as well. If he's able to get close to Bane, I'm pretty sure he just instantly kills him. Most of our units similarly would die in one shot as well if they were to get hit by a finisher. With the strategy we're using, we're really just trying to hold out until Darza approaches us, and then we'll use all of our finishers to get rid of him as soon as possible. Darza's finally approached close enough where he's in range for our units to start attacking him. Falkert has moved up and is now protecting our units from Darza. He has Rampart Aura equipped. This prevents Darza from just running ahead and killing one of our units. Falkert is taking quite a beating. He's attacked by a few spells, and then Darza and the Lizardman hit him with a pincer attack. Most of our other units would be long dead at this point, but because Falkert's a knight, he's able to withstand the damage. We do need to end this fight as soon as possible though. So at this point we start focusing on killing Darza. Our units have their finishers charged. We're just in range to use Dark Weight with Canopus and Aracel. Our generic Vartan also gets one hit in as well. The strategy has worked in keeping Bane asleep. Falkert gets his turn and he's able to kill the boss. Because we were able to save Bayan, he joins us as a guest. Bayan tells us that Sistina, the unit from Chapter 1, has been captured by pirates. You can choose to save her or not if you want to. If you choose not to save her, you don't get to recruit Bayan, Falkert and Sistina for good. Falkert will still keep his part of the bargain and you can take his boat towards Almarica. But we want to save Sistina as we plan on using her and Bayan in this run. Once again, we need to put Bayon to sleep. He's not quite so reckless in this battle, and he's probably not going to get himself killed, providing you can keep him healed up on this fight. But I'd rather not chance it, so we put him to sleep again. Once again, because Falco's a knight, we don't really have to worry about him. He can handle himself. The enemy has quite a good positional advantage on this map. They are very high up compared to us. Because we can't move, our archer units are fairly useless against most of their forces in this fight. If the boss just stood in place, like that one battle in Chapter 1, I don't know if this map would be possible, but thankfully for us, she's not going to stick around and she'll actually come towards us. That enemy fairy is actually a rogue. We saw her use the Speed Star skill. In Tactics Ogre Reborn, the rogue class was actually removed from the player. You can no longer turn units into rogues unless you mod the game. Enemies can still have the rogue class. You can't recruit enemy rogues into your party either. They have a 0% chance of being recruited unless you mod the game. It's pretty sad that we don't get to use rogues because I think they'd actually be quite decent in this challenge. Rogues have access to Speed Star, which is basically a free boon of swiftness on the rogue. As well as this, in the PSP version, rogues had a skill that let them place booby traps with the tarot cards. We could use a rogue on the front lines, give them a crossbow and the booby trap skill. They could snipe enemies from quite a distance with their finishers, and then when enemy units get close, they can use booby traps. Now here this enemy Terror Knight decides to attack Kachua, and I'm quite glad he did this. He just activated his Fearful Strike ability on the previous turn, so the fear is wasted on Kachua. If he had hit one of our other units, they would have been in quite a bad shape, as fear is a very powerful status effect. It seriously reduces the amount of damage you can deal as well as take. Unlike Breached, it not only affects your physical ability to deal and take damage, it also affects magic damage as well. Not many units can inflict the Fear Sathas. It's definitely one of the better debuffs in this game, but we don't end up using it at all because Terror Knights don't have access to bows or crossbows. They wouldn't be able to inflict fear at range. Lament of the Dead could be used in this run, but it doesn't have very long range. It only hits nearby units. We've done quite a good job in getting rid of the enemy units so far. Falkert in particular has been dealing some decent damage with his finisher. There is something that we want to do in this battle. The enemy boss is in range for us to start attacking her. We probably could start to go for her now and finish the fight, but I actually want to hold off. See, the boss of this chapter, Veldre, is actually pregnant. I'm not too sure on the exact trigger of this. I think you need to bring her forces down to a small number, and then after a while she'll comment how she's pregnant to you. In the original SNES game, there's nothing you can do about this, you just have to kill a pregnant woman. But in the PSP version and Reborn remakes, you can actually spare her. You have to get her down to critical HP, so that's about 10% of her max HP, and then she'll actually retreat from battle. So So for now, we're not targeting Veldre. We need to kill the other enemy units off. As soon as we see the dialogue from her, at that point we can start focusing on her instead. You don't actually get anything from sparing her. She doesn't join you as a party member, and there's no real reward for letting her live. But if we could spare her and a child, why not? Also, because we're doing a challenge run, we may as well just add on a small challenge here in trying to keep her alive. Never hurts to make things a bit more interesting. Of course, due to the restrictions of this challenge and the fact that we have 2 guest units, it's not going to be guaranteed that we'll be able to actually spare her. We could put Veldre down to a really low HP, and then Volker or Bayon could go and kill her. Now she has barely any units left, and she's already given us the dialogue we needed to see. She's in a very good spot here for us to start attacking her now. Volker kind of wastes his MP here. He uses a finisher just to kill this weakened fairy. I'm pretty certain that he could have just killed her off with a regular attack. but the AI doesn't really seem to look at it this way. I think the AI just tries to do as much damage as possible, even though it just wasted about 50 MP. At this point, Veldre has got really low. We don't quite get her into range where she's going to retreat. We need to get her down to critical HP, which is 10% off her max HP. I'm pretty sure at this point any attack would do the job. Falkert almost kills her. He actually puts her down to 1 HP. If he had landed knockback and dealt extra damage, or he got a lucky roll and dealt 1 more damage, she would have died. But thankfully for us, that didn't happen. Denim convinces the weakened Veldre to retreat for the sake of her child. And with that, Veldre retreats. We now have Sistina as a guest. We return to our hometown of Goliath. Headhunters have come for Denim, but with help from our guest units, this fight shouldn't be too bad. Once again, we're going to be putting Bain to sleep. Falkert won't ever really be in any trouble. Letting Sistina go ahead is a bit risky, as she's not as tanky as Falkert. I did take some of her items away, so she'll be prioritising healing instead. She comes with a spear, and if you keep that on her, she'll tend to run ahead and get herself killed. We use Boon of Swiftness on Falkert. We're not normally too concerned with Falkert. His tankiness from being a knight is enough to keep him alive. However, Falkert just got inflicted with fear. His defensive capabilities are going to be severely hampered. He does make a wise decision and retreats. Now in this fight we have 3 golems to contend with. They have a lot of HP and very good physical defense. They're susceptible to magic, particularly status effects. We'll take full advantage of this and hit them with charm. The enemy's ninjas are definitely more threatening. Ninjas have access to magic that deals damage in an area and hits multiple times. If ninjas get enough MP to cast this and they hit a unit, it can deal triple the damage you'd expect to see from a normal magic attack. Ninjas also have access to dual wielding. If a ninja picks up a crit card or a fizz up card, they can do some ridiculous damage. So we'll definitely want to get rid of the ninjas as soon as possible. We did miss a spell on Bane earlier, so he's not asleep. Providing he's kept asleep for the first few turns, he should be in a decent position to not die. If you don't sleep him at the start of the fight, he'll run up and he'll probably get himself killed quite quickly. But now that there's plenty of enemy units choking the point, he should hopefully stay near to our units. Because the enemy inflicted fear on Falkert, we decided to put him to sleep instead. I'm not entirely sure on the AI's targeting priority, but it seems that they don't really attack sleeping units if they have other options. I'm sure if you only have one unit alive and it's asleep, they'd probably attack it, but given other options, they seem to prefer attacking units that aren't sleeping. For anyone that's familiar with the AI in Final Fantasy Tactics, in that game, the enemy will not attack units that have been inflicted with Doom. I think the rationale is that they can see that the unit is not going to be useful to the player because they're eventually going to die to Doom. And I think it might be similar in this game, that the AI thinks a sleeping unit isn't too big of a concern, so it goes for other units instead. Of course, this is all speculation. I've never really looked into the game's AI, so don't quote me on any of this. We've managed to take out the ninjas, which are the biggest threat in this fight. There's a second wave of units heading our way. The enemy has some archers, and the boss is also approaching as well. Thankfully, Catcher takes a bullet for Bayan. Bayan wouldn't have died, but still, I'd rather not have him take too much damage from critical hits. The golems have been harassing our units for quite some time, but they really don't do a whole lot of damage, so they're not too big of a concern. We have a few options here, but I just decided to charm one of the golems. Bayan is also able to take one of them out as well. The Charm Golem had picked up a crit card, and with that, it deals quite a lot of damage to this archer. The enemy's boss is finally in range. We do have plenty of units that have their MP charged, so it's go time for ending this map. The enemy has 2 clerics in this fight. If the enemy's leader was something tanky like a knight, this could be pretty troublesome for us. Because the enemy's leader is a wizard, we should have plenty of damage to kill him before the clerics can even heal him up. Falkert and Canopus are able to use 2 finishes back to back, and they completely take out this cleric. The Charm Golem also does a nice job for us and kills one of the enemies as well. The enemy's boss has fallen back a bit. On this map, if you're not too careful, you can actually get into a position where you can't really target him. I think if you kill off all of the other units in this fight, the enemy boss will retreat to a point where you can't reach him. If you decide not to save Sistina, I'm pretty sure you'll be in a position where you can't win, as you don't have your guest units in this fight. Even if the boss retreats for us though, we have Bane, Falkert and Sistina to go and chase him down. Volker seems to absolutely love killing clerics, as he goes and uses a finisher on yet another cleric. In the process, he also prevents the enemy's boss from retreating, because Volker has the Rampart Aura skill equipped. The boss won't be able to go back more than 2 tiles. With nowhere to run, the boss has come straight to us. All of our ranged attackers can now start killing him. Bayan uses a finisher with his cudgel and actually deals a considerable amount of damage. This ends the fight. Once we're done, we head to yet another fortress.
何者だ。返答次第ではこの矢がお前たちの眉間を貫くぞ。
大丈夫。慌てないで。
Unlike in the other fortresses, we're not met by bloodthirsty pirates. This is the hideout of the Liberation Front.
システィーナさん、ご無事だったんですね。リーダーも心配されていました。さあ、中へ入ってください。
さあ、行きましょう。
賞金首を連れてくるなんて一体どういうつもりだ。我々のアジトをオルスタ軍の連中に教えるつもりなのか。それになぜここへ戻ってきた。
姉さん。
Justina introduces us to their leader, Seria. Seria is actually Sistina's older sister.
私は組織のリーダーだ。
彼らは海賊に囚われていた私を助けてくれた恩人なの。
海賊に？怪我はないのか？
大丈夫よ、姉さん。リーダー、みんな無事だから。私がここへ戻ってきたのはあなたを止めるため。無謀な計画を止めるためよ。
またその話か。もう議論はたくさんだ。何度話をしても同じことだ。私の決定に不満を持つ人間はお前と共にここを出て行った。そうだろう。私は強制するつもりはない。だからこそ 出ていく時も引き止めはしなかった。
組織の決定って何？無謀な計画って？
お前たちには関係のない話だ。黙っていてもらおうか。
Sistina drops a bombshell and reveals that the Liberation Front plans on assassinating Duke Ronway.
システィーナ、
姉さん、やめて。
コリタニ城が陥落した今、我々にはこの方法しか残されていない。公爵がガルガスタンを掌握する前にことを起こさねばならん。
Sistina isn't happy with their methodology and wants to try and resolve things peacefully. Because of our decision in Chapter 1 to say that we fight for peace, and not only for the Wallister, Sistina will join us here.
残念ながら、お前たちと話をしている時間がなくなったようだ。妹は現実を見ることができないばかりか、理想ばかりを語り、それを追いかけてしまう。理想は高くとも地に足がついていなければ何の意味もないというのに。空から地上を見下ろしている鳥には地べたを這いずり回るアリの気持ちなど分かりはしないのだ。手を汚すことのできない妹には真の革命を起こすことはできない。お前と同じようにな。でも私はそんな妹を愛している。妹を頼む。力になってやってくれ。
姉さんは間違ってる。もっと他にいい方法があるはずよ。目的のために手段を選ばないなんて、まるでブランタや公爵のようだわ。姉さん、私たちは血まみれの王国を築くために戦ってきたの？違うよね。
一緒に行こう、システィーナ。僕らは似ている。そうは思わないか？
初めてあなたに。
I'm not entirely sure why Sistina just decides to join us here, considering we plan on going fighting the Duke as well. Maybe it's because we're not outright saying that we're going to kill the Duke.
ありがとう。私は決して理想を投げ出したりなんかしない。たとえそのために姉さんと戦うことになったとしても。
But either way, we get Sistina, Folkert, and Bayan as permanent party members from now on. We now head to Rhine. We'll be fighting against Zapan again. In this battle, Denim and Kachua have fallen into a trap. They've been surrounded on all sides. The rest of our army are present, but they're nowhere near Denim. This is a bit of a tricky situation as our units can't move, so we can't go and save him. Denim's main goal in this battle is just to survive as long as possible. You might be able to kill Zapan if he had no healing. Denim is in the Knight class, so he's fairly tanky. He can take some punishment and build up his MP. Then he could use his finishers to kill off Zapan. This strategy won't work though, because the Beast Tamers and the Rogues have healing items. We've decked Dynamite with the heaviest gear possible. This will slow down how frequently he gets his turns. He's definitely going to be incapacitated. So long as we can end this fight in the 3 turns it takes for Denim to die, we're all good. Denim was able to get a finisher off on Zapan. The enemy was able to heal Zapan back up to full, but they've used up some of their healing items. We'll skip ahead here because nothing else happens over on that side of the map. Denim is now KO'd. While Denim was busy dying, the rest of our team was building MP, so we should have plenty of finishers to unleash on Zapan. Thankfully Zapan is not too tanky. Even with all the constant stream of healing he's getting, his HP is still going down. This is also not the last time we'll see him, so we don't even need to bring him down to 0 HP to end this fight. We just need to weaken him. Canopus deals the final blow. He's brought down to about 30% of his max HP and he retreats. At this time, the Dark Knights invade Rhyme. In the ensuing chaos, the fight between ourselves and Zapan is called off.
Yamero! これがキコーラ、ローディスのやり方なのか。
それはゼノビアの紋章。お前が聖騎士ランスロットか。会いたかったぞランスロット。 ハイランド打ち破りその力を見せてもらおうか。
望むところ我が剣を受けてみよ。ザパン、どこだ？どこへ行った？デニム！姉さん、どこだ？どこにいるんだ？
ここよ、デニム！
残念だったな、デニム。もう一息ってとこだったのにな。このお嬢ちゃんは俺が預かるぞ。返してほしくばアルモリカ城まで来い。待ってるぞ。
待て、ザパン、姉さんを返せ。お前はなんだ小僧、俺に用事か？ギルダスさん、ローディスの暗黒騎士よ。
The Zenobian Knights are here as well. They can't really hold a candle to Lodis's Dark Knights, but their distraction will let us get away.
もたもたするんじゃねえ。
姉さん、
デニム、行け。早く追うんだ。
なめた真似をしやがって。俺様の奥義を味わってみるか？
早く行け。
くらえ、フローベノム。
We finally arrive back at Almorica, where it all began.
やっぱり来やがったな。バクラムの連中にやられたんじゃないかと心配したぜ。
この小僧がゴリアテの英雄殿か。
Once again, we are fighting Zapan, but there are actually two bosses in this chapter.
ザパン、この卑怯者め。姉さんはどこだ？
ばあさん、分かってんだろうな。
あいよ、私は賞金なんかに興味はないよ。
You don't actually need to kill Zapan in this chapter, you can completely ignore him. As soon as you kill Remidos, Zapan flees.
その仇を討てればそれでいいのさ。
待たせちまったな、デニム。話がまとまったから安心しな。お前の大切な姉ちゃんはこの城の中だよ。返して欲しけりゃ力ずくで奪ってみろってやつだ。
力ずくか。いいだろう。
While we're waiting for the enemy's units to approach us, we skip ahead. In this battle, we'll be focusing on killing the boss. She's going to take a few turns to get in range, so while we're waiting, we may as well attack some of the enemy's units that are in our face. Unfortunately, Canopus can't shoot the wizard. Our dragon is slightly higher in elevation, so we'd actually end up shooting our dragon if we were to attack the wizard. We could use our finisher on the wizard, but I'm trying to save MP with Canopus, as I plan on using all of our MP for finishers to kill the boss. The enemy has 2 knights and 2 clerics, so they have plenty of healing. It's going to be a bit tricky to just rush the boss down with all those healers, but if we charm the knights and kill the clerics, we should be in a good position to go for the boss. One strategy that you can use in this game to get around clerics is going for the boss with some attacks, but mainly focusing on weakening other units. I'm not entirely sure how the enemy's healer AI works, but it seems to prioritise units that have the least HP. So if you take a squishy unit like a wizard and you put them into critical HP, so if you put them down to about 10% of their max HP, you can then focus on killing the boss. The enemy's healers will prioritise healing up the squishy unit instead. We also don't want to see clerics with higher tiers of the heal skill using heal on bosses, especially when they have access to Mother's Blessing. If a cleric activates Mother's Blessing and uses something like heal 2 or 3 on a boss, they can get some ridiculous healing, even somewhere like 500 HP in one heal. You can also try and manipulate the enemy's AI into using Major Heal instead, as that heals for much less. If the enemy's positioning allows, you can try and injure the boss and another unit, and then you can hope that the AI of clerics will try and heal both using major heal. That way the healing is spread out on the boss and a unit you don't care about, instead of then using a big heal on the boss. Here we're seeing just how good salves are with monster units. Healing in this game doesn't scale very well, for the heal spells at least. Units like Knights and Valkyries can only ever really heal somewhere between 100 to 200 HP, even in the late game. Clerics fare a bit better in terms of scaling. You'll definitely see over 200 HP with higher tier healing spells. If you activate Mother's Blessing, you can double that healing. But by far the best source of healing in this game is items. Healing salves heal a % of a unit's max HP, and as you get through the game, they only get better. In particular, monster units make the best use of healing salves, as they have thousands of HP. The boss is being quite annoying here. She's staying out of our range. We can still lob boulders with our dragons. Our heavy hitters like Aracel and Canopus aren't in range to use their finishers on her. Now we got unlucky there because we actually knocked the boss back. think if she wasn't knocked back, she would have used her spell and then moved closer. Because line of sight was broken, she instead moved up one tile back to the original position she was in, and then shot our dragon again. I think at this point I was starting to lose hope in being able to rush down the boss, so we shift attention to the enemy clerics. If we get rid of the clerics, then any damage we deal to the boss will be permanent. Zapan dealt a huge amount of damage there and was able to take out one of our dragons. Berserkers can be pretty scary in this game. The combination of Berserk and Sanguine Assault can deal ridiculous damage. In Chapter 4, you can recruit Pumpkinhead Golems. In this game, they were given access to Berserker. So you can actually combine Berserk, Sanguine Assault, and Impeller Golem. On my first playthrough of Reborn, I used a Pumpkinhead Golem as a Berserker in the late game. When she was powered up, she was dealing some ridiculous damage, like we're talking thousands, and this is just with regular attacks. You can deal even more damage with regular attacks than you can deal with finishers. The only problem with Berserkers is that they don't have any ranged options, so while they can deal some nutty damage, they're not going to be used at all in this playthrough. The enemy's cleric got lucky there and parried. We've been fairly unlucky with just how many blocks and parries the enemy's been getting. But the enemy's archer says, "Screw you, parry this," and just takes her out. The enemy's boss has finally moved back into a position where she can be attacked with a finisher by Canopus and Daracel. And with that, we take her out.
そうなのかい。そりゃ私が少しばかり短兵球だったね。デニムよ、あんたは本当に無実だったんだね。私の周りにいる資料たちが教えてくれたよ。すまなかったね。私も焼きが回ったもんだ。でも息子や孫に会えるから。ああ。
With Remidos
dead, Zupan flees from the battle, along with the rest of his troops.
待て、ザパン、姉さんを返せ。
Now we enter the castle.
ザパン、
You'd think the castle would be heavily guarded on the interior as well, but it turns out they only sent Vice after us.
バカ野郎、人質ってのはもっと有効に使うもんだよ。さてデニム、今度はお前の番だ。
バイス、姉さんはどこだ。
This is the first time we have to fight a 1v1 battle.
バイス、姉さんを離せ。
返してやるさ。
On the law route, there's a fight where Denim and Kachua fight Leonard. You also get help from Aracel and Vice,
僕たちは
but on the Chaos route, there's a 1v1 versus Vice. There's also a 1v1 versus Leonard. You can choose to take that fight with the whole of your army versus the whole of his army.
バイス、どうして僕らが戦わなきゃいけないんだ。
どうしてお前だけ。
These fights often get a bit of criticism from newer players for being too hard.
お前はいつもみんなから可愛がられ。
To be fair, players may not be expecting to have a 1v1 battle. They've gone through at least 2 chapters where they get to use their full
みん
army.
な親父のせいだ。そう
They may not be prepared for a 1v1.
お前の親父は神父だが。
It's been proven that you can beat these 1v1s with every class that you can have access to at this point in the game. A combination of good equipment, RT management, and plenty of healing items should let any class beat this.
それが理由か。俺とお前にどんな違いがあるって言うんだ。
それは君の思い過ごしだよ。僕らは親友だったじゃないか。僕らは親友だったんだ。なのに一体どうして。
お前が勝手にそう思っていただけだ。
Because we're a knight, we've got access to phalanx.
知らなかったのか。
We have naturally high defenses being a knight, but as soon as phalanx activates, we'll be taking next to no damage.
疲れ。人のいい親父と美人で優しい姉貴。
姉さんは君のことを。
If someone does find this fight really difficult, I would suggest just changing to a knight.
嘘だ。
You may not activate phalanx on your first attempt, but eventually you will get the skill to activate.
価値は 彼女が見ているのはお前だけだ。俺なんかどうでもいいと思ってる。わからないのか。
If Vice decides to use his finisher on a turn when you have phalanx up, he's going to be dealing next to no damage, and he'll waste all of his MP.
彼女が愛しているのはお前だけなんだ。
One advantage we have over Vice is the element affinity. We chose fire for Denim, and Vice has the ice element, so we're kind of countering him.
僕らは固い友情で結ばれていた。それは嘘じゃない。
ふざけるな。お前は裏切り者だ。そんなお前と友情なんてまっぴらごめんだ。今の俺には仲間がいる。公爵だってレオナールだって俺を当てにしてくれている。
違う。利用されているだけだ。価値がなくなれば殺されるだけだぞ。わかるだろう。
それが仲間ってもんさ。俺はお前みたいなガキじゃねえ。ガキのおままごととは違うんだよ。利用しているのは俺の方さ。仲間にしてやってるんだ俺が。
Here we activate Phalanx and heal up with the salve. We could have done without a turn earlier, as it would have helped us against his finisher, but I'm not going to complain. Here Vice actually gets a double turn against us. We still have our phalanx up, so he's not able to kill us. We get a finisher off on Vice and bring him low enough for the fight to end. Leonard interrupts and stops the fight once Vice is low enough.
なぜ止める。
今がどういう状況か分かっているのか。頭を冷やせ、バイス。
こいつを殺せって言い出したのはあんたたちじゃないか。それを今さら。
いいから私の話を聞け。デニム君も聞いてくれ。ライムが陥落した。バクラム軍がここへやってく
We
る。
learn that Rhyme has fallen.
そんな。ランスロットさんはそんなバカなことって。
聖騎士殿がどうなったかは分からん。
We're not sure what happened to the Zenobian Knights, but one thing is certain. The Bakram are making their move.
これ以上同胞同士で争っている場合ではない。単刀直入に言おう。デニム君、公爵殿下に従うのだ。これまでのことは水に流そう。戦うべき相手は他にいる。
Leonard offers a treaty between Denham's army and the Dukes. This is another route split. You can go to the neutral path if you side with the Duke again. We have no time for the Duke and his evil deeds, so we'll be staying on the Chaos route.
差別のない、貧困のない、皆が幸せに暮らせる世界を築く。君のその意志を私は理解している。だが、理屈では人は動かない。どんなに崇高な理想も実現しなければただの夢幻だ。夢で終わっていいのか。父親の仇を討つんじゃなかったのか。な、もう一度手を組もう。それが我々にとっても民にとっても一番良い選択だ。
それは絶対にできない。あなたもバクラムも同じだ。現実に追われ夢を失った敗北者、それがあなたたちだ。努力もしないで理想を実現できるものか。
なら君はどうするんだ。君なら理想的な世界を築けるとでも。
僕はそんなに傲慢じゃない。ただ納得したいだけだ。
自分の生き方に。人が現実のためだけに生きているなんて僕には信じられない。だからこそ確かめたい。
人は一切れのパンのために他人を殺す。自分の幸せを至上の優先として戦うんだ。だから人が人である限り争いがこの世界から消えてなくなることはない。我々の役目はそうした人々を管理し秩序ある世界へ導くこと。彼らはそうした指導者を望んでいるのだ。
僕にはわからない。あなたの言葉を信用することができない。一体何を信じればいいんだ。僕は何のために戦っている。あなたは何のために。
分かった。もういい。君に時間を与えよう。納得がいくまであがくがいい。さあデニム君行け。カチュアを連れてこの城を離れるんだ。
レオナール、どういうつもりだ。このまま行かせるだと。
さあ行け。自分の目で世の中を確かめてこい。君の求めるものはここにはない。どこを探したって見つかるはずがない。それを確かめてくるんだ。希望を失った時またここへ戻ってくるがいい。私は君を待っている。さあ。
僕は決して絶望しない。自分に負けたりはしない。
待てデニム。
放っておけ。自分で納得しない限り意味がない。
生かしておくと後悔することになる。それでもいいのか。
その時は私が騎士の名誉にかけて彼を討ち取ろう。
奴をやるのはこの俺だ。
それはあなたの方でしょ。
After saving Katua, we get into a bit of an argument with her.
姉さん。
放っておけよ。今何を言っても無駄さ。
出てきやがれデニムパウエル。どこに隠れている。
Katua believes that Denim is spending more time with his army and is more concerned about it than her. From this point on, Katua won't be a guest in our party anymore.
冗談だよ。そんなに怒るなって。おい、待ってくれよ。
お前がデニムか。ずいぶん探したぜ。お前の首はこのガノン様がいただいた。自分の間抜けさを恨むんだな、風。
Denim is being pursued by more headhunters. We saw this map at the start of chapter 2, but we were at the bottom of the map. Now that we're in chapter 3, we are now at the top of the map, so we have a big advantage with the terrain. Our archers are able to shoot much further as a result. This is another fairly easy fight, just to introduce you to chapter 3. Chapter 3 is where I would say the game gets a bit more challenging. There's going to be bosses that are loaded with strength up and MP cards. With strength up cards, they'll be dealing significantly more damage, and the MP cards allow them to spam finishes every turn. In Chapter 3, we'll definitely need to use some other strategies if we want to beat the game without moving. We'll be slightly changing our roster of units, and one thing you'll see more in Chapter 3 is use of items. We'll be using Aerion Plumes to strengthen our units. With Voltaire, we've changed him to a Beastmaster recently. We've not really seen the full effect of this class just yet, but it's honestly one of the best classes in the game. Even without beasts and dragons, beast tamers are very good. They have access to the rare Lobber skill. This allows a unit to fling items across the map. It can be used to heal units, and as we mentioned earlier, in terms of effectiveness, healing items are better than healing with the heal spell later on. We're not really going to be using Voltaire to heal with the Lobber. We actually intend to use him to debuff bosses. Using Dynast King's Mead, we can inflict Breached at range. The combination of Breached on the enemy's boss and Strengthen on our own units will let us do significantly more damage than we'd normally be doing. Currently, Voltaire is kitted out with a load of shots as well. Shots are a very good way of dealing damage in this game. With the Lobber skill, they have good range, they deal area of effect damage. The most important thing about shots is that they seem to ignore enemies' defenses quite a bit. They are powered by your unit's weapon skill. So even if you have a unit that's been training as a mage, providing you've been training up their cudgel skill, they can still deal significant damage with shots. The only problem with this strategy is that it's quite expensive. Buying a ton of items like Aerion Plumes, Dynast King's Mead and shots is going to leave us broke. We do have plenty of items that we can sell to fund this strategy. Most of the items we've been getting as rewards for finishing fights aren't useful, so we'll be selling those. You also gain a lot of money just from beating fights in the first place.
なかなかやるじゃねえか。ザパンをやった腕前は本物ってことだね。
ザパンを僕じゃないと言ったら。
そんな言い訳を信じるとでも思うか。まあ嘘かどうかなんてどうでもいい。お前は今や傭兵や賞金稼ぎにとって最も優先順位の高い賞金首なんだぜ。お前をやる理由はそれだけで十分だろう。分かったら続けようぜ小僧。
And with that, we finally entered Chapter 3. Things will be a bit more challenging from now on, and we may have to get a bit creative with the strategies we use. We're definitely going to have to use a different lineup of units going forward. Stay tuned to see what those strategies involve, and I'll see you later.